Good evening, everyone, and welcome to ESF Connected, our SUNY ESF Alumni Spotlight. Tonight, we will be speaking with a couple of alumni in our Department of Environmental Biology. You may also hear it referred to as Environmental Forest Biology. It has gone through a couple of name changes, so it's either EFB or EB, just in case our alumni are from when it was Environmental and Forest Biology. So thank you, everybody, for coming. Before I get started, I just wanted to go through a couple of things. This broadcast is being live streamed and also recorded, and we will be taking questions at the end of the program. So if you have a couple of options for your questions, one, you can just email us and we will put that up for our panelists at the end of the program. So it's alumni@esf.edu. Or if you're watching us on YouTube and you are logged into a YouTube channel or into your Google account, you can put a question in there that will come to us as well, and we'll refer to those at the end of the program. So I would also right now like to bring in our panelists. So I'm going to start with Ellen Tchaikovsky. So Ellen, welcome. Ellen is a BS in Conservation Biology, or ConBio, as we call it, and she is currently working as Legislative Counsel for the state of Vermont. So hi, Ellen. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So my next contestant, I want to say, my next panelist is Emily Hadzopoulos. She is also a ConBio major, but went something a little bit different. She's a freshwater restoration project manager for the Nature Conservancy. So welcome, Emily.
Thank you so much.
And now we have Sean Wright, who actually had a BS in Environmental and Forest Biology and is currently working for the University of Kentucky in the Horticulture Department as a Senior Extension Specialist. So welcome, Sean.
Thanks, good to be here.
And our final panelist is Kate O'Connor. So Kate earned her degree in Environmental Biology and is a watershed forester for the New York City Department of Environmental Protection. So welcome, everybody. I'm very excited to have you all with us. I love that we have two different majors within the Department of Environmental Biology, but 4 different ways that you went with your degree. Environmental Biology is our largest department on campus, so it's really nice to have the 4 of you here to talk to our students, our parents, prospective students, and our alumni to kind of showcase what you can do with a degree from ESF and in Environmental Biology. So to get us started, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, kind of tell a little bit about what your job entails, and kind of describe what you do for the day. Sometimes we don't really know what a job title means, so this is really a good opportunity for that to happen for us. So I'm going to have Ellen go first. We're going to, there you go. Thanks, Ellen.
Great, thanks. So my name is Ellen Tchaikovsky. I graduated with the BS in Conservation Biology in 2012, and I went to law school right after that. I went to Vermont Law School, and I am now the Legislative Counsel Attorney in the Vermont Office of Legislative Counsel. The Office of Legislative Counsel is a nonpartisan law firm for the Vermont General Assembly, which means we are the law firm for the Vermont legislature, and we assist them in all their legal matters. And really specifically, it means we write their bills. Each one of us has a specialty, and so my specialty is land use, energy, and climate change. And I am the only person in our office that handles those issues. So that means anytime a legislator, regardless of their party, has a legal question or an issue related to one of those topics that they want to work on, including drafting a bill, I am the one who handles it. So I handle all of the climate change legislation for the state of Vermont. It is a unique position in the field of environmental law generally. Some legislatures do structure it in a nonpartisan way, like we do. Some have a partisan structure, so individual parties have their own staff, but we are nonpartisan, so I work for any and all of the parties, and so I work on a lot of different dimensions of the issues of land use, energy, and climate change.
Thank you, Ellen, very much. Next, we're going to hear from Emily and hear what she does with the same degree.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Emily Hatsopoulos. I'm currently a freshwater restoration project manager with the Nature Conservancy, specifically the Connecticut chapter. I graduated from ESF in 2015 with a bachelor's in conservation biology, as mentioned. I also got a minor in marketing from Syracuse University, which was very helpful in my line of work. And right after that, I went to grad school at Duke University at the Nicholas School of the Environment, and I got my master's in coastal environmental management, actually. So I've taken a little bit of a transition from the coastal world, and I'm now in freshwater, but still all water focused. Basically, what I do now is really focused on stream and riverine connectivity across Connecticut, and also with some ties to the entire Northeast and New England river systems. So that can mean a lot of things. That focuses a lot on dam removal and culvert upgrades, so road and stream crossing upgrades. And I do everything from be a project manager, so basically see a project from fruition to write grants, develop proposals, all the way up to implementation. And then I'm also doing a lot of, I would say, more statewide, regional transformative work. And that entails bringing trainings and resources to other nonprofits and groups to do some of this work themselves. That includes really looking more holistically at community engagement around river systems and how we manage these projects. And just kind of thinking about this work on a larger scale and how we can accelerate it going into the future.
Thank you. I'm sure we'll have lots more questions for you in a bit. So next I'm going to bring up Sean. So tell us a little bit about what you do, Sean, and kind of what your role is.
Good evening. My name's Sean Wright. I graduated with a BS in Environmental and Forest Biology in 1986. After a couple of different stints at different academic institutions and jobs, I eventually ended up here working in Eastern Kentucky for the University of Kentucky. I am the pesticide coordinator for the University of Kentucky, meaning I work with faculty members that are looking for specific pesticide registrations for projects that aren't currently labeled. I work with them in the chemical industry and the Kentucky Department of Agriculture to try and get labels for them for projects that they're working on. Biggest part of my work, actually, because I'm based in Eastern Kentucky, is I work a lot with non-timber forest products and medicinal herbs. I also have statewide responsibilities where I support our extension agents. There's 120 counties in the state of Kentucky, and many of those extension agents do not have a horticulture background, but they get a lot of horticulture type questions, vegetable production, fruit production, consumer horticulture, whatever. And they will reach out to me and I'll attempt to support them and their clientele in answering their questions.
Great. Thank you very much. And last but not least, Kate O'Connor. We'll bring you on, Kate, and tell us a little bit about being a watershed forester.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Kate O'Connor. I'm a watershed forester with the New York City Department of Environmental Protection. I graduated EFB in 2016. After graduation, I worked in forest health with state parks and in forest pest research at Cornell University before joining DEP. The forestry department's main goal is to maintain the watershed forests of the New York City watershed for clean drinking water production. So we produce over 1 billion gallons of drinking water for the city every day, and it's the largest unfiltered water supply in the country. So something to be proud of. In addition to that, we're all foresters, so we manage the landscape for multiple benefits: wildlife habitat, fisheries, recreational uses, and things like that. No day is ever the same. We work on a lot of fine scale, project management, timber harvest, stewardship projects. We do a lot of construction reviews for the infrastructure projects that go on for the city water supply. And we also do a lot of grunt field work, which I really enjoy, inventories, stewardship projects, things like that. So very varied, very enjoyable. And that's what a watershed forester does.
Thanks, Kate, because I'm going to go right back to you with this next question, because it seems like you have a very broad range of what you do every day. And being that EB is one of the largest departments on campus, or is the largest department on campus, with 6 different majors that you can go into, a lot of things that you can go into at ESF. What made you choose environmental biology?
I chose environmental biology because when I initially went to ESF, I thought I wanted to go into pharmaceutical research and development. I was really interested in botany and plant chemistry, but actually during my coursework in EFB, I discovered my real love of just field biology in general, and also forestry and silviculture. So the program itself sort of helped me find my way.
That's great. I love that you're doing forestry, watershed management, silviculture. So it's a big, broad variety of what you can get from your degree to what you're actually doing. So Sean, you're a little bit different in that you kind of you're working with pesticides, which I think some people may think, well, that's not really ESF related, but I want you to talk a little bit about that and how you went from being environmental biology and working with pesticides and trying to make that transition.
Yeah, sure. I actually started out as a dual major in forestry and EFB. My fall semester, my first year at ESF, that was back when it was upper division and graduate school only. So I got a chance to see what the forestry majors were doing. I had some good friends and roommates that were in the forestry program. And as I saw them putting on their rain suits every morning to head off to Tully in the rain in the 50 degrees, I decided that forestry wasn't for me and just switched directly to environmental forest biology. After that, I went to the University of Tennessee, where I majored in botany and plant physiology and genetics. After I finished there, I went to work for Cornell Cooperative Extension as a county agent. Really got interested in helping the clientele, the farmers, with their different aspects of production. We want everybody to be producing a good quality, safe food product economically, so that not only is the environment sustainable, but the farms and the families on those farms are sustainable as well. Ended up doing a PhD at NC State and some postdoc work at Iowa State, ended up at Ohio State, and then down here. Just transitions through time as different aspects have opened up. Pretty much I tell people if it's green, I work with it. A lot of my colleagues in the department that are based in Lexington are much more narrowly focused in what they work in, whereas I get to do all sorts of interesting things. This week I've had questions about high tunnel morel mushroom production, underground greenhouse. It's called a Wallapini greenhouse, using those for production. I've had questions about pesticide registrations because I am part of the Midwest Regional Pesticide team that puts together the production guide that goes out to 13 different states for our commercial fruit producers in those states. So just a little bit of everything has brought me to this point right now, and I really enjoy the variety.
I'm going to have to ask you about that underground greenhouse. That sounds interesting. Grow your own mushrooms. Emily, you kind of took a different path as well. So can you talk a little bit about freshwater restoration and what that is?
Sure, yeah. And I think what's really cool for me, and something that kind of got me into this field, is just the interest around habitat restoration in general. And, you know, through time, kind of similarly, I had some different roles, mostly coastal, and kind of was flexible as I got now into this current position. And from kind of the different roles over time, I found that I really liked habitat restoration work, and it really felt like it was kind of meeting a lot of needs. You know, not only does habitat restoration work, you know, benefit wildlife and ecosystem health in general, but more often than not, it's super beneficial to local communities. You're also, you know, mitigating some of the, or adapting to some of the effects of climate change with habitat restoration work. And just the idea of helping to renaturalize or bring back natural processes to a system is something that I just find really fulfilling in my work. And then freshwater habitat restoration As I mentioned before, one of the big things is around stream connectivity. So unfortunately, through early America, or just what it is, through early America, we had a lot of industry through our river systems. And that was mills and dams. And obviously, as America has grown as well, so has road and other transportation infrastructure. And most of the times, this infrastructure was built with more of like harnessing the river systems or just ignoring them rather than kind of working with them or making sure that they were working effectively. So again, primarily what I do through freshwater restoration work is look at those issues. So we try to understand across the state of Connecticut, which has over 5,000 dams, which is crazy. Where basically we should be harnessing and targeting our efforts. So which dams we should really be going after for removal versus, kind of which ones are low hanging fruit, if you want to say. And then the other one is obviously, like I've been mentioning, road stream crossings are a real problem. Every time you basically have a road that crosses either a stream or a marsh, you will usually have a pipe under the system, and that basically just funnels some of the water. It doesn't really work. It doesn't kind of mesh well with the ecological environment, and it really can be very vulnerable when it comes to climate change and intense storm systems. And that's why many of you may have seen with some of these storm systems that we're getting over time, road systems will wash out or overtop. So that's why we really want to look at these culverts or road stream crossings more effectively and build them in such a way that they are basically mimicking a natural stream system that'll both kind of protect the environment and basically allow more connectivity in a river system. And they're proved to be much more climate resilient, which is great. So that's basically a lot of the work I do now in freshwater restoration.
Thank you. Well, you do a lot. I like that. What you're doing is we're seeing today, especially when you're talking about the roads washing out and flooding. If we can do a little bit more preventive maintenance to that and put it back to its natural ecosystem, hopefully that won't happen in the future. So last, see again, but not least, Ellen. So I'm going to bring you on and let you talk a little bit about what you do, how you're tying in with your degree.
Sure. So I chose conservation biology because it had a little more communication with humans about how to protect and conserve species, as opposed to, it struck me initially that the other majors had a little more fieldwork potential, whereas I sort of knew I didn't necessarily want it to be in the field. So what I do now really is communicate with policymakers about what they're trying to achieve, and then I help them by drafting bills or amendments or memos on the subjects I'm in charge of. So I do a lot of communicating about science and about the issues related to climate change and greenhouse gas emissions and mitigation. And so my background and my studies at ESF really were a foundation for being able to communicate clearly about these scientific principles and bringing them to policymakers and having that support the testimony and input they're getting from advocates and people who do work in the field and have expertise, but I'm able to help translate that because I'm their attorney and I assist them in the development of the policy that itself. So I'm taking the background and foundational knowledge that I gained in actually studying biology and study species conservation, and then helping translate that to legislators who don't always have that background in the science and what's happening and what the impacts of climate change are and what's driving those impacts.
I love two things that you said. One, that you're taking that scientific knowledge and you're putting it into layman's terms. So that is so important to be able to have that background and then be able to have the communication skills to do that so that the general public can understand, not just at a scientific level. And I also like that you said you didn't want to do field work because a lot of people think, oh, I'm not going to go into environmental biology because you're only in the field all the time. But that's not true. There are different options that you can do. So I love that you presented that. So I'm going to jump all over now. So Emily, why did you choose ESF over all the other schools?
Sure. Well, actually, similarly to Ellen, specifically ComBio jumped out because I was also really interested in the relationship between conservation and people, and what that means. And it's in a lot of the work that I do now. And I think, honestly, we probably will all say for most of our jobs that working with people is probably one of the number one things we do in terms of helping to manage our ecological resources, or promote legislation or different things like that. So that was one of the big reasons that drew me to ESF is the ComBio program. Also, just the diversity of coursework that was offered was really appealing. You could take everything from environmental policy to environmental writing and everything in between. And then, another big one for me was the relationship with SU, with Syracuse, because I really was interested in pursuing a minor in marketing. And that was a big thing for me because, as I mentioned, I really wanted to understand how to work with people and translate environmental messages and environmental stories to people. And I thought it would be great to kind of pair my ComBio degree with a minor in marketing and be able to kind of think more in the ways of storytelling and the ways of communicating to people what these different problems and issues were. And yeah, it was a very good fit for the time.
So I know a lot of people ask about our connection with Syracuse University. We still do have a strong connection with Syracuse University. Our students can take some classes over there. Their students can take classes here. Student clubs and organizations mesh. So it's a really nice opportunity to be at a small state school, paying state school prices, but then having Syracuse University and everything that has to offer right across the street. So that's always a nice benefit. How about you, Sean? What was your determining factor in making ESF your school of choice?
Well, it was a couple things. Coming from a small school in Chautauqua County, as I said, it was strictly an upper division graduate school at ESF when I attended. So I attended the local community college for 2 years, and all my classes transferred seamlessly to ESF without any issues. But also, it had that dual major that I was really interested in. It was a small school, highly ranked in the nation. Couldn't have asked for a better school. I competed without any problems at any of my graduate schools with my colleagues that attended large universities or anything else. So the quality of education for the cost was ideal for me.
Yeah, so I just want to comment on Sean's upper division portion. So for a while, I think it was 12 years, ESF was strictly an upper division school, only for juniors and seniors. Students transferred in. That ended, I think, in 1991 or 92. We are a full year school. We also have graduate degrees and PhDs. So I just want to make sure people know that. Kate, how about you? Why ESF?
Well, I think similarly to Sean, I looked at the size of the school and the affordability of the school, and really my interest in research at the time that I was, comparing schools. The work that was and is being done at ESF is comparable to anything going on at larger universities, and so it was a really ideal place to try dipping my toe into that. In a small environment that was very supportive, and had work going on that I was interested in.
Great, thank you. Ellen, I think you kind of answered that question already for us, so I'm going to go to a different question for you. What skills did you learn at ESF that you find most helpful in your career now, or even on the path to your career from going from ESF to law school and then into the position that you're in now?
Sure. So one thing that was definitely relevant and important in law is the ability to do research. And so while scientific research is different than legal research, it has a similar structure. And since we were taking pretty much all science classes all the time, there really was an emphasis on teaching research skills And so I got 4 years of practice before I transitioned into law school, where I then had to adapt those skills into legal research skills. And so that was not a difficult transition. And I think that when you come in with a major from undergrad that has less emphasis on how to do research and how to cite research and find sources, that can be difficult for people in law school, because finding sources for the things that you are saying in legal research is really critically important. The other thing is, being at ESF really I loved being around people who shared my passions. I mean, it's a really concentrated focus, right? Environmental science and forestry is pretty narrow. And I do think it attracts people who are passionate about those subjects. And I hadn't been around that before. And so spending so much time with people who had been deeply passionate about specific interests, and particularly environmentalism and mitigating the impacts of climate change, really inspired me and brought out a lot of confidence, I think, to pursue that as a viable career as opposed to just an interest or a hobby. So I think I gained a lot of confidence from seeing the other work that other people were doing and their passions and interests.
Yeah, at ESF we say find your passion, because I think you're right, that is our students. They are very passionate about one centric idea. They all have different ways of getting there, which is great, and everybody has different ideas. It's not like everybody's the same, but they all have that passion for the environment. I always say our students come in saying, I want to save the world, and that's what we need. I hopefully all of you said it as well. So, Kate, we're going to go to you. What skills did you find most useful in your career that you learned while at ESF?
I think ESF was really my first exposure to the idea of project management, which came up, through my early years out of school at Parks and then at Cornell. During all of our lab classes, we developed our own projects to some extent, and learning how to, allocate time and resources and follow an idea through, and receiving guidance on what to do when things didn't pan out was very useful, and I kept going back to that. And I think also learning to collaborate, because research, project management, environmentalism, conservation, those are all extremely collaborative efforts, and learning to work with other people and to share ideas and to be supportive even when there are some disagreements has been a very valuable skill, I would say.
Thanks. Sean, how about you? What skills did you bring from ESF that have helped you in your position?
Well, I'll just emphasize what Kate just said. Collaboration, the ability to work together as a team. Some of these softer skills are actually very important no matter what field or major you go into. Learning how to interact with people from diverse viewpoints, coming at things from different sides, being able to delegate resources, allocate time, prioritize. All of these things are very important. Being able to focus and see what the trees are, not to get too focused on the forest at times, but sometimes you have to narrow down and look at the trees and address them one at a time in order to address what the whole forest issue is on a project that you're working on. Study skills, time management. There's never enough time to get everything done in a day, no matter what kind of job you're in. So you have to be able to allocate your time, work efficiently, and get on to the next project. Networking is also critical no matter what field you're in. I'm still in contact with some of my former classmates. I run into ESF graduates in various states where I've worked and things. So there's lots of them out there, and it's always good to see people working in different fields doing what they are passionate about.
I agree. Our alumni are all over. Anytime you wear an ESF hat or shirt and you're hiking, somebody's going to find you. So Emily, you can answer that question or go on to the next, because I know it's hard when you're the last one and everybody else has talked about it. So you can either answer that one or tell me what you love about your job.
Sure. Well, I'll answer that one briefly. I think one of the things that I actually took away from ESF most is that it builds a really strong foundation in just like my knowledge set, and the fact that I was able, like I said before, to take a really big range of different coursework. So as I mentioned, there was everything from policy to geospatial sciences to, really specific biology courses, to environmental writing, to traditional ecological knowledge. Like the fact that I was able to kind of, spread myself around a little bit and like really see all these different topic areas, I think has made me really adaptable, which is great. So I've been really able to kind of go into different topic areas through my career so far, and really be able to easily adapt and pick up new topic areas well, and dive into new worlds. So I would say that that's probably been one of the biggest takeaways from ESF for me. And then what do I love about my job? So I think one of the biggest things is I kind of mentioned this before, but it's very, I think, fulfilling to me to kind of reconnect to nature in a sense. And obviously that, one of those things means reconnecting nature to kind of what it's more meant to be, as I've mentioned. So we're kind of renaturalizing its processes, but also reconnecting people. So reconnecting people to each other, reconnecting people to their surrounding communities and habitats and freshwater systems, and just seeing all those things harmonize. That's what I really love about my job. And I love the fact that I, again, get to work collaboratively across the state with a bunch of different amazing partners. And then also at the Nature Conservancy, I'm also able to work really regionally, which is fantastic. We do a lot of work in the Northern Appalachian Mountains, of which Connecticut is a part of. And we're trying to kind of take really collaborative initiatives to pursue freshwater restoration across the Northeast and New England region. So that's really exciting. As well as, I get to kind of think globally too. In just a couple weeks, I'm actually going to the Nature Conservancy is having a freshwater summit down in Mexico where all freshwater staff from around the globe are going to attend and talk about their different work and kind of what freshwater restoration looks like in different parts of the world. So that's really exciting as well. So yeah, just again, working collaboratively, harmonizing kind of nature and seeing all these things come together in different scopes and aspects is really great.
I can tell how much you love your job. Ellen, how about you? What do you love about your job?
My job is so much fun. It is very exciting. I spend every day with the legislature working on the hot topics in all of these areas that I'm in charge of. So I assist the committees in their work, which and all of the issues are usually timely and in response to things that are happening in the state. But one of the things that's really fun about my job is that I spend time thinking about the precise words needed to accomplish the goals of the legislators. And often that involves what are the precise words needed to do blank. So today I was looking at issues regarding how to mitigate forest fragmentation when we do construction projects. So what are the words needed to accomplish that and to mitigate the risks, not only to the forest blocks, but also to the habitat connectors and corridors within them. And so I get to play with words all day, which is interesting to me, maybe not to other people, but it's a very specific thing that maybe many people don't think about, that I write these words that then help the legislators make decisions that then impact how people in the state have to behave and respond to climate change and address environmental protection in their work. So it's important, but it's also really fun and exciting and very interesting.
I love words too. Words are very powerful, very important. So Sean, how about you? What do you love about your job?
Well, for me, I really love the variety and the opportunity to teach something new just about every day to somebody, whether it's teaching the county agent something new, teaching a producer a new technique that will help them to be more sustainable, whether it's working with my colleagues at the University of Kentucky or other institutions throughout the region. I get to learn something new every day just about, and then I get to share that knowledge with other people as well.
That's nice. It sounds like your job is always changing, always something new. So that keeps you on your toes too. Kate, do you love your job? Why don't you tell us about your job a little bit?
Yes, Debbie, I love my job. Many things about it, but especially although the forestry department is very collaborative and we work at very high level planning for watershed management, foresters have a lot of autonomy in the projects that we are able to choose and develop on our own. So I really love being able to pursue my own silvicultural interests while working towards the overarching goals of maintaining water quality and habitat and climate change mitigation. So that's really wonderful. And I love, in addition to the forestry team, we get to work with the other scientists, hydrologists, wildlife biologists that are on staff. So I'm still exposed to a wide variety of ideas on a daily basis, kind of similar to being on campus and bumping into friends from other majors who are studying other topics. So that's really fun.
Great. I love my job too, because I get to talk to people like you and our students, and it is always something new. There's always something that people are looking for, and most of the time they can find it at ESF. It's just a great opportunity for students to really branch out and really kind of go their own path too. So, which is nice that you all have kind of gone your own path and showing that there's different ways that you can use your degree in life. Now, I know for some of you, you may have to think a little bit about this next question, but what's something that you really either absolutely loved at ESF that you were like, oh, I'm so glad I did that, or something you wish you did while you were at ESF? So I'm going to start with you, Ellen. You look like you were still thinking, but I'm going to start with you.
Maybe this is jumping ahead, but I loved the entomology class. I had so much fun in that class, and I still know all the orders of the insects, which is not really relevant to my daily life. But that class, the lab component of that is catching insects and then learning how to pin them. But spending time in various places in Syracuse catching insects is one of the most interesting things I've done. I love that. That was so much fun. As far as like non-classes, I was an RA for 2 years. And I was an RA the first year that Centennial Hall opened. And I loved working with freshmen and being sort of one of their main points of contact as they transitioned into college life. And, that can be really stressful and traumatic and people learning how to be adults. But I found it to be very rewarding and also a bit of a mentoring role where I got to sort of say like, oh, I just took a really great class, write this down for your future, because this is really great to add to the list of things you want to do here. So working with freshmen, getting to be a part of that brand new building when it opened and have ESF have its first dorm and being a part of that was really fun. So getting to work with those students. Yeah.
That's great. It's funny you mentioned pinning the insects in the entomology class. You don't know how many people come up to me and they still have their case that they're like, look what I have. So you're not the only one. Others have kept it. So how about you, Kate? What is something that you wish you did while you were here or something you really enjoyed?
Something I really enjoyed during my time at ESF was going with the Syracuse University Outing Club, which is open to ESF students, and they take a bunch of different outdoor adventure trips. You can mountain bike, rock climb, cave, do all sorts of things. And it was on a caving trip in West Virginia that I learned some technical rope climbing skills, which transitioned into my career. I ended up working on some canopy research projects with foresters and ornithologists. So it was a really fun way to learn new skills and explore places, and actually ended up coming in handy.
That's great. I don't know. I can't remember what year you were here, but it's been fairly recent. But I think now we have almost 50 clubs and organizations on campus. So students have really branched out. So if there's something that you want to do, I'm sure we have a club or organization for it now. So Emily, how about you? What did you love about you, or just love that you did, or wish you did?
Yeah, so similarly to Ellen, I think one of the things that I loved most was the immersive nature of the coursework. So just as an example, one of the ones I absolutely loved was tropical ecology, which is basically a semester full of just learning about the tropical ecosystem and environment, particularly when it pertained to the Caribbean. Because then for spring break, we spent a week in Dominica, which is a Caribbean island. And we basically hiked all over the island for a week and learned intensely about the local ecosystem and also, tourism and other dynamics of the island. And it was just amazing. I think from now, they've moved that tropical course to somewhere else. I think, unfortunately, because of hurricanes have damaged the island. But I will just say in general, coursework like that, and it doesn't have to be just travel courses, although they're awesome. But some of the other kind of in Syracuse coursework was also super immersive. So like the ecology of moss course and like going out into the fields like right after this first snow melt and seeing the woods covered in moss was incredible. Or, there was the mycology course, so the study of fungus, and basically having to similarly hunt down a bunch of different types of fungus for weeks on end to create a collection. And there's tons of courses like that. And I think that is one of the things that I really just loved most.
Yeah, the hands-on nature of a lot of our courses are just phenomenal here, and I think that's what you may not get someplace else. And I think that's what our alumni are all used to, that research hands-on component that lets you get out in nature. Who says learning can't be fun? So Sean, how about you? Is there anything that you wished you did? I know you didn't get all 4 years here, so maybe there was something maybe you wished you'd had.
Well, I wish I'd had more skills to be part of the forestry team, but the woodsman's team. When we had our fall banquet that first year, our first opportunity to meet classmates and things, we had our fall barbecue banquet, and Dr. Harrison Payne demonstrated his pole chopping skills and things. I got to throw an axe for the first time and promptly broke the axe on my first throw. So decided that probably wasn't for me. But I always thought it was interesting and liked to watch what they do in that. But I was involved with student government. I was a tour guide, orientation leader, volunteered on the phone-a-thon, just enjoyed participating in many of the different opportunities that arose when I was there.
That's nice. Yeah, there's a lot to take advantage of. It sounds like you did a lot in your 2 years here. The Woodsman's team is still growing strong. I know you'll be happy to know that. So I think some of you already answered this, but I don't know, maybe not. I don't think Sean did. What was your favorite class when you were here?
Boy, I didn't have a favorite class. There were some I liked better than others. I learned something in every class that I took. I've had more questions about my earthworm biotechnology on my transcript than anything else, but I've enjoyed my ecology classes, my entomology classes, my botany classes. I took forestry electives because I started out as a dual major. Probably my favorite class, if I want to say that, was simply a plant propagation class I took in the greenhouse. And that was simply because in the long, dreary winters in central New York, we actually got to go into the greenhouse where it was warm and potentially sunny and things were still growing, and it let us know that spring would eventually arise.
Yeah, we need some of that today. Yesterday it was 60 degrees. Today we got a foot of snow. Tomorrow it's 60 degrees again. Just in case you were missing ESF weather. So Kate, how about you? What was your favorite class here?
Well, there's so many good ones. I always say ESF is like Hogwarts for outdoorsy people. But I think my favorite was environmental ethics and philosophy, and that was a spring intensive course at Newcomb campus. Very small, but we did a lot of reading and writing, talked about a lot of pressing environmental issues, environmental justice, resource management. We learned how to have really hard conversations about heavily value-laden subjects in that class, and that has come in handy and is still an interest to me every day that I'm out working and trying to navigate different land management goals and different stakeholderships and it's been invaluable.
I like the Hogwarts thing. I might have to steal that. So Emily, how about you? What was your favorite class at ESF?
Yeah, well, I kind of already mentioned that all the different classes are so immersive, and it's hard to pick a favorite. But I will say there was one class I kind of technically did twice, so I probably really enjoyed that one, which was invertebrate zoology, which is basically kind of like entomology, like the study of insects, but also invertebrate zoology really looks at all the marine creatures underwater. And I really, was very interested in the coastal and marine realm. So I loved that course, and I loved it so much I became a TA for that course, which was really cool because basically you were able to play with a tank of starfish and mussels and different marine creatures when you went into that course. And I also got to make sure the tarantula was fed every day. So yeah, that's probably one of the ones I enjoyed most.
Well, that sounds like fun. Surprised nobody mentioned Cranberry Lake. So Cranberry Lake, for those of you that don't know, is a summer program up in the Adirondacks in which I think all of our environmental forest biology students go up for, anywhere from I think a 2-week course to 4 weeks. And it's really great immersive experience up in the Adirondacks where you really bond and you really get to do a lot of hands-on research with our faculty. So it's great. So I think my last question to wrap this up, do you have any advice for students that are looking to come to ESF or looking to go into the environmental field for their careers, and possibly something you'd wished you knew before you started at ESF? So we're going to start with Sean.
Well, I would simply say don't be afraid to try something new and learn everything you possibly can, even if it seems a little esoteric to what your overall goals are. Sometimes it helps to stretch yourself. You may be introduced to something that you find a passion for that you didn't even know that you had.
Great, thank you. Ellen, how about you?
So one thing I wish I had done more of was try to take an internship. So I did do an internship my senior year doing wildlife rehabilitation. And when I got to law school, I actually really found that internships were crucial because I didn't really know what lawyers did day to day, especially in the environmental sphere. And so I did a number of internships when I was in law school, and it really helped me focus in on what I wanted to do, seeing someone practicing what they do day to day and what different aspects of the job they might not, advertise. And so doing that at ESF, especially and reaching out to different alumni and learning more about what their jobs are, definitely maybe help point in the direction of figuring out what you want to do.
Thank you. And thank you for mentioning that for our current students that are on, for prospective students, for other alumni. Our alumni are a great source of information and knowledge and help. They are always willing to reach out. So if you have questions or if you're looking to change fields, if you are looking for, maybe changing majors and you want to talk to somebody in that field, please contact the alumni office. We are here to connect our students to our alumni, from alumni to other alumni. So make sure you take advantage of the knowledge base that's out there and it's ready and willing, waiting for you. Who do I have left? Kate?
I guess I can just sort of go along with that and say, avail yourself of all the resources on campus, because you never know who you're going to talk to that's going to introduce you to an idea that becomes something that you end up doing or spending time on, or somebody that can help you make a connection that you otherwise wouldn't have. While I was there, my academic advisor, Stu Demont, was really wonderful. He guided me through academic questions, sort of school life balance things. And he directed me to career services, who hooked me up with a great mentorship with one of our alumni, and ultimately sort of set my feet on the path where I am.
Great. Thank you very much. Bring you all back on now. Thank you for also mentioning career services. We have an excellent career services office. They really work with our students. I think they had almost 50 students doing internships over the semester break. They were all with our alumni, which was even better. Some of our alumni were hosting 2 and 3 students just to give them a flavor of kind of what they do. It's always nice to hear about it, but it's nice to see it in person. So our career services office is great with that. They're great with resumes, and we have Handshake, which we offer all of our environmental positions are posted up there. Again, this is for students and alumni. So if alumni are out there looking for positions, please use the services of our career services office and go on to Handshake. You guys must have been great because we have no questions. You must have answered every question there was. But just in case, I'm going to stay on a little bit longer, and I'm going to try if I can get this to work. If there's anybody out there with questions about the current environmental biology program, kind of some of the different programs and degrees that we're offering, undergraduate, graduate level, please go to our website. So the biology website is right on the bottom there. It kind of talks about all of the different programs that we have. And I'm just going to mention them. So there's aquatic and fisheries science. We have biotechnology now, conservation biology, environmental biology, forest health, which is very big right now. And of course, wildlife science is also a very popular one. So there's so many different areas that you can concentrate in within the environmental biology program. So please visit that website, learn a little bit more. You can also always contact the alumni office. We're very happy to help and direct you if you have any other questions that we can't answer. So for now, I'd like to thank all of my panelists for joining me this evening and kind of giving us a little bit of glimpse into your lives as environmental biologists. I really appreciate everybody, and we will be doing another one of these. We actually have a Women in STEM panel coming up next week, so I hope you all can join us for that. And take care, everybody. We really appreciate you being here and participating in this. So thank you very much. There we go. I'm sorry, I am having issues with my clicker. There we go. So thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks.